What's the strangest thing you've ever been caught doing? One morning I woke up strangely early, around 5 or 6, without an alarm. I was bored and proceeded to lift up my top mattress and just lay between the bottom and top ones. Mom walked in, extremely confused. I couldn't really explain. I didn't know what I was doing myself. She asked if I needed help. Yes, I meant box spring. I'm actually so stupid, sorry. Edit or edits. I was 12 when this occurred. Thank for silver, I love you. Thank you for making this my most freaking upvoted post. What the heck? This cracked me up so hard. It's so random that it's amazing. When I bought my first pair of night vision goggles, I had them delivered to the TV station I worked at, not trusting my neighbors to leave my crap alone. So, I took a break and tried them out in the only truly dark room I could find. The men's room. A coworker came in, flicked on the lights, and was startled to find me in the middle of the room, blinded by the sudden flash of normal light, brushing my teeth in the pitch dark with night vision goggles. I had to go talk to ours about it. He was freaked out. We talk about people like you at work, but I really laughed a lot. This was the best one. Running in on all fours up the stairs in underwear. Didn't realize my best friend had already come over, and I ran into him at sausage level. That sounds like some grudge poop right there. If I was the friend I would be so scared. Activate instant kill. It was 3 AM and 15-year-old me was taking a dodo and got a blood nose. Now for context, I get real bad nosebleeds and usually just keep my head up and it goes away. Well, I was bored. So I thought, what if I just keep my head down and let it drip? I know, very stupid. Blood was all over the floor. I had every intent to just clean it up with tissues and flush it. No evidence of my little experiment. What I didn't know was that my mum was actually awake and was waiting for me to finish in the toilet for her turn. I didn't lock the door because it was 3 AM and I didn't think I needed to. Well, she opens the door. Semen Demon 16, why are you taking so well? She sees the blood, starts freaking TF out. Thinks I'm either dead or dying. I start yelling, trying to explain myself. Mum starts crying, thinking she's gonna lose her son. My sister walks out her room from the crying and the yelling. Sees the blood. Freaks TF out as well. After a bit of panic, I eventually explained my stupid experiment. I cleaned it up and we all went to bed. But I don't think anybody slept after that traumatic experience. You're supposed to pinch and look down. Never lean back, something to do with the risk of blood trickling into your breathing pipe and increased chances of suffocation/choking. Edit. Typo. Oh man. So I must have been about 12. I was in the car with my mom. To set the scene, it was a 3-row soccer mom van, and I was in the second row behind the passenger seat with my mom driving. Well, since I was 12 I got my random hormone bleep. Strange and awkward enough, right? Well, I decide that I would pretend I was driving and that my bleep was the stick shift. Mom caught me. Edit. A story about me playing with my bleep is now my highest liked comment. Naturally, this scene needs to make it into a movie someday. Please tell me you were making noises while you were accelerating. As a pet sitter, sometimes you get lonely when the majority of your interactions are with animals. So, to combat this, I sometimes pretend to be the inner voice of whatever dog I'm walking, responding out loud to whatever they're sniffing, or whatever grabs their attention. Each dog has his/her own weird voice as well. More than once people have walked around a corner to hear me doing this. I talk to my dog on our walks all the time. I once had a really bad day at work and I just decided I needed to tell him about it, and I was nearly in tears saying, Chewbacca, I just don't get it. And I realized there was a lady across the street just staring. I just power walked a little faster and pretended like nothing happened. His isn't me, but this story is so weird. My grandma was once caught by a Raps delivery guy in the process of biting her toenails. She was in the sunroom with the screen door open, and the guy walked up to the door and witnessed that. R.I.P. Granny, you weirdo. My dad used to bite his toenails. He's still with us, but I haven't witnessed that in a long time. I forgot how weird that was. You reminded me that I used to lick the bottoms of my feet when I was like 4. I remember I liked the flavor. Parents didn't stop me for some reason. Could have been worse. You could have walked in on the Ups delivery guy sucking your grandma's toes. I was in standstill traffic, i.e. car had been turned off, People were loitering outside of their cars, and I had a baby squirrel that I was hand rearing in my car. I fed it some puppy milk formula from a bottle, looked up and realized I had an audience of about 20 people gawking at me. Puppy milk. Mister, give him milk of the puppy. It took me a bit to realize what hand rearing meant, and I'm relieved that it is what it is and not what I thought it might be. Thanks for the smile. How sweet.
Bonus meme!
When I was around 10 years old, I was getting curious about fun time, so I decided to look it up in the dictionary. Wouldn't you know it, my ultra-conservative mother walks in the room, so I try to play it off like I was looking up the Haida Native American tribe. She called me out for being in the S's, but I doubled down and pretended I was possibly dyslexic. What a tangled web I wove. This reminds me of all the doll orgies I would host. I remember once my mom unexpectedly walked in, so I hurriedly sat on a pile of naked, pointy Barbies and Kens, as if that would hide the obvious. I once saw an old bloke slowly walk near a tree, have his hat pushed off by one of the low-hanging branches, then proceed to, slowly, pick up the hat, declare I avenge myself in a neutral tone, and then break a twig off the tree before slowly walking off. I really think this one is neat. Thanks for sharing. Arguing with myself. Well, not myself. The actual person just wasn't there, so I was standing in the mirror, with animated facial expressions and gestures. Lips moving, but with no sound. I now reserve these hypothetical arguments for the shower, when I'm home alone. This hurts because I do this every day, and if I ever got caught I would freaking die. Popping my friend's back by picking him up from behind and bouncing him repeatedly. A teacher walked into the room and we all froze. We all froze. Ah yes, the Drax technique. One time my girlfriend and I had just left the house. She then remembered she needed something and went back in. Now, our house, Golders Green, London, was semi-detached with the neighbor's house. The neighbor's motorbike was kind of in our shared front yard. Since I was waiting for my girlfriend, I decided to sit on the motorbike. I heard the front door of the house close behind me, so, trying to be funny for my girlfriend, I leaned over the tank of the motorbike and started pretending to rev the throttle and making vroom, vroom motorbike noises. Like, really getting into it. I didn't hear any laughing, so I turned around, and it was actually my neighbor standing there with this WTF look on his face. Co-worker that was working at a customer site. He had a creepy little crush on one of the women that worked there, but it was apparently innocent enough that no one really cared. Until one day the woman came back from lunch and saw him pick up the cushion from her chair and sniff it. He was asked to leave. A coworker caught me sniffing her chair. I was using it for a meeting, since she was supposed to be out for the day, and her cube was right beside the conference room. I spilled coffee on it, and I cleaned it well, since she was in that cube farthest from the break room, since she hated the smell of coffee, so I cleaned it well. She came in to get something, and got a good laugh from catching me. One day the woman came back from lunch, and saw him pick up the cushion from her chair and sniff it. I can imagine some dude with his coffee watching. Oh. Bad move. In 3rd grade, I went to the bathroom, and thinking I was alone, put my hands against the wall, leaned forward, and let out a long gigantic fart. Afterwards I let out a nice big sigh of relief and pleasure. I turned around, that some other kids had come in as I was releasing that massive fart. Did not look them in the eyes as I left. Edit. Just to clarify due to comments, it's not the fart that was strange, no matter how long it may have been. It's the hands against the wall, prepping my body to let it rip, and moaning ooh afterwards. I kinda did this. I wear headphones at work and I ran out to my car, and as I was leaning in I ripped a monster ass trumpet. When I got out of the car some lady was walking her dog 2 feet away. I hadn't heard her because of the headphones, but the look of shock was enough. I walked by, like I didn't realize she was there. Being a teacher is tough. I was like 13 or 14 in my room alone, my window wide opened, when I started to wonder if I ever got kissed what the other person would be seeing from their perspective. So I went up to my closet, which had those floor-length mirrors, and I started kissing the mirror, opening my eyes every once in a while to see if I looked at all attractive doing this. One of those times I opened my eyes I saw my brother. outside my wide open window through the mirror looking at me with such a confused look on his face. I screamed and fell to the floor and hid in my room for a while. I was a kid and creeped out by cousin's creepy doll. One morning me and the doll were alone in her room and I grabbed the doll and started to shake it, and while I was yelling at it that I knew it could talk, my cousin walked in and was like, "What are you doing?" And I brought the doll close to me and caressed it and said I was just kidding. She kept the doll away from me after that.